Live from the Blue Oval Studio at Paul Miller Ford's Pro Elite Service Center, it's the Blue Oval Podcast. Live from the Blue Oval Studio at Paul Miller Ford, we are here with our first ever guest.
Yes.
With our first ever podcast, our first guest, Dave Baker from the UK Network. Dave, welcome to the Blue Oval Studio.
It is great to be here, and it's an exciting day for JP and everybody. And there's just for those of us who've been blessed to be around a long time, it has been amazing to see the growth and the evolution of this dealership.
So you've known JP for years, probably almost as much or more than anybody else who's here today, right? Dave?
The first time I met JP, this was. And Paul, you haven't heard this story, have you? He was swimming competitively. He was actually a diver.
That's right.
And he was rocking the Speedo as
That's
well.
right.
Okay.
And we did a story on him out at the station. And I've always sworn or threatened that I was going to bring it down here for the Friday sales meeting, but I haven't yet. But yeah, I've known JP and his dad and his grandfather, a prince of a guy. His dad has just done so well with his new book and everything, and just great people.
You know, it's funny because as as time goes on and you do these things, you start to learn more and more and more about people that you thought you knew so well.
Oh, sure.
And I had no idea that JP was a diver
yeah.
back in the day. No clue.
You were actually pretty good.
I was about to say, Dave, was he any good? Was he any good? Or
No, he was actually
really
pretty good.
Or did it look like you or me falling off the diving board, really? And making belly splashes every
Cannonball,
time.
right. No, he was good. He was good. I don't know how long you ended up doing it.
I don't know, but I do know that I still feel like I'm flipping around a lot. I think I'm on a diving board at least once or twice a day. It seems like it anyway.
Just to make sure it's not frozen.
Yeah, but are you jumping into the water nice and organized, and intentional?
Sometimes
or are you just
it
kind of
hurts.
slipping off the edge?
Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes you go to bed or you don't go to bed at all. It hurts. But thanks for the kind words, Dave. It's been an honor to get to know him. I ended up having somewhat of a broadcasting career.
Not somewhat. You were good.
because of this guy, because I was like, wow, this guy's interviewing me, and I'm on TV. I was like, this is pretty cool. And so then I realized I had a face for radio, so we tucked it in behind the old studio. Well, what a great day, and I'm so glad that Dave's here. He's kind of got the pulse of Kentucky basketball too, and he does a pregame show, and I really wanted to figure out from him, do you have any advice for the fans out there?
The fans have been great. The fans have been, they've been criticized a lot. A lot of people talk about the old people sit downstairs and they don't cheer. Crowds have been amazing this year.
Yeah.
They've really wrapped their arms around Pope and wrapped their arms around this team. And now they've just played so well. They got those 5 top 10 wins, and now you got the top 3 point guards hurt, and everybody is going into a complete panic and meltdown, which is what you do when you're a fan, right?
That's right.
Well, I think the only key for this team making a deep run is if you can get everybody healthy.
Yeah, it seems like it. I think a little more practice. I don't like them missing free throws. I think free throws.
That's right.
If you miss free throws, I think you should stay after.
They're free, right?
They're free. It's kind of like an oil change coupon, you we hand them out every day.
It gets you in the door to get some more service, yeah.
That's right.
But I think the thing is, and I know how in depth you are about what you do, and you certainly have to have analytics when you're in business.
Sure.
I mean, is Mark Pope not amazing?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he sits there at these news conferences and talks about how this guy is a 1.3 off the dribble to his right hand and a 0.75 on his left. And he's doing this without any notes.
Right.
I mean, and it's just, he's still able to motivate his guy too, but he is the most prepared for every situation of any UK coach I've seen here.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, I think maybe we got a couple more wins in us.
Heck, yeah.
We got a tough ending to the season, though.
They do. And the day we're recording this is the day before the Vandy game, and that will be a tough game because, I mean, Vandy had Florida down 16 a couple of weeks ago, and they've played well. And so with, it doesn't look like any of those injured guys are going to be back for that game, and that'll make it difficult.
Well, and Dave, look, let's talk about this. This is important here.
Yeah.
What in the world has been going on at Vandy this year, right? Because most of the time in the SEC, we all know, right? Vandy is like you can like kind of check it off, like, okay, we're going to put a W on that one. Mm-hmm. But not so much anymore. Has it been an effort of recruitment, or has it been maybe a change in administration when it comes to athletic director? What's the story down there?
They've obviously got a good NIL program, and they got a really good coach. I mean, he's like Pope from an analytics standpoint. And I think what's happened is, like in your business, there are a lot of changes. And I mean, you either make changes yourself and you're out front, or you eventually make changes when everybody else does, or else you get, far and away behind. But not to criticize anybody, but I don't think you can win with freshmen.
No.
And so what people are doing now is college basketball has become like the NBA, where it's like, who are those transfers? You go in the portal, you get your NIL money together. And like these guys this year, I don't think there's one of these guys that ever dreamt that they could play at Kentucky. But Pope he didn't go out and just get the best guys who are available. He got the guys that fit his system the best. And I think that's what Vandy's done as well, to answer your question.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this, too, Dave. NIL.
Yes.
What's your opinion on NIL? Straight, what's your opinion?
Well, I get it. I mean, they're the guys that are making the money, right? I mean, all these coaches for years made the money and everything. And, I get it. It's certainly not perfect. I think it's still got to go through a lot of steps. And then the thing about it is, it's like Nick Saban said. He said you can have $20 million in NIL like Ohio State did, and if you pay the wrong guys, you're out of luck. And so that's the beauty of it. I mean, they had NIL in Major League Baseball for a while, right? And George Steinbrenner didn't win it all the time.
Right, that's true. That's true.
We have a bunch of NIL players, and we started, I guess, very slowly and very patiently. We worked directly,
really well.
Yeah, we worked directly with the parents and the agents, and they're driving our vehicles, and it's working really well for us. We get a great opportunity for them to come in and be a part of the store. They do commercials and things of that nature for us, which is really, really cool. I think long term, it's going to need some oversight. I've gotten some feedback from some folks. They want the federal government to get involved.
Really?
Yeah, and they want them to come up with some type of legislation of sorts. So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
I don't think.
But
I think
hear
all
that.
the people at the colleges want it.
All the colleges, I think, want that, and I understand they want to be able to lean on maybe a different support system than what they have now. Because now there isn't. There's a couple car dealers and landscaping companies, and like whoever or whenever, as long as they can put some money in the collective, I guess.
And JP may feel a little bit different about NIL once this biggin gets some NIL money.
He's definitely got a Ford deal.
He'll be on billboards all over Cincinnati.
But he's driving a Ford.
Do you feel, Dave? Do you feel like it had to come to this sooner or later? Like it was a thing, because you have a lot of traditionalists right now looking at every NCAA sport and saying this is bad, the portal is bad, all this stuff. But I don't know. We're what, two full seasons into actual NIL, the NIL era, so to say. And it seems to be working out pretty good.
Well, they didn't have any choice. I mean, the courts ruled, and they just had to do it. And so, I think what you're seeing athletics directors and people that are conference commissioners doing now is the Big Ten and the SEC are meeting this week, and they're trying to figure out how to totally take over control of the college football playoff. So, they've got money. They've got these NIL collectives now. They've got this insane amount of money that they're getting from TV contracts. So, they can kick and scream out in public, but they're probably smiling all the way to the proverbial bank, right?
Down in Oxford, it's kind of neat. They have a lot of different restaurants and stuff where you round your money up to the Grove Collective.
No kidding.
Yeah. So most every restaurant you go into. So by the time I was there for the Kentucky game, I think I donated about $100. And we lost.
From one restaurant to another to another.
Every restaurant, like, okay, sure, round it up.
But what I would say is it's probably less money than you have spent making sure your daughter is in that multi-million-dollar sorority house. Have you ever seen anything like the sorority houses down there?
You know, I will give her a shout out. She got honor roll. in
That is
Dean's
so
list.
That's awesome.
So
And let me just say this.
that's not easy.
That's not easy at Ole Miss.
No.
I had a daughter who was there for one semester. It's not easy at Ole Miss. There are a lot of distractions.
Yeah, Dave, you did the segue already. Thank you. Right, but basketball is great. I love basketball.
Yeah.
But let's talk. Let's talk straight over here. What in the world are the Wildcats going to look like next year? Or this year, later on this year on the football field?
Yeah, good question. Good question. They've got 4 guys that are going to the combine. They'll have to replace some really good players. Deone Walker is just a massive human being. But they've done a nice job in the portal. I mean, they haven't been able to get like huge players yet. But I just think so much is a part of it. We were talking about hiring into people that JP has assembled here. The most important thing that coaches do is who they sign.
Recruitment.
And not players, but coaches, because they set the tone. I mean, you look at what Pope's done. You look at what Kenny Brooks has done with the women's team. Stoops, they're disappointed to not make a bowl game, but that was the first time in, 8-9 years, something like that, which is unheard of in Kentucky history. So they'll be competitive, but the problem is they play in the SEC.
Right. They play in what most, I believe, is the toughest conference, without a doubt, in football.
They've got to up it a little bit. I think they always have been traditionally. I think you might have been able to give the nod to the Big Ten maybe this year, but certainly, they've got the opportunity to do some things, but they've got a very small margin for error.
Right. Yep. For sure. And so let's talk about what you've seen here today. It's great to talk about sports, and we can do this, and we can chop up UK football all day. But let's talk about what you've seen here, because it kind of goes hand in hand with sports as well, right? Because you've seen athletic directors, you've seen coaches that just want to keep it in the lanes, right?
Oh, sure.
Just want to get to the end of the season and see what happens, see what happens during the offseason. And then you have other coaches that wake up in the morning and that all night, all they were saying to themselves in their dreams were, how do we get better? How do we get better? How do we get better? And I think we have a coach, athletic director, everything sitting at the table with us, right, who is like that, who just thinks, because why in the world would you invest so much money into building a facility like this if you weren't looking for growth and if you weren't looking to constantly get better? JP a long time.
Yep.
Speak to his constant desire to grow and constant desire to look for that next level, all the way from diving up to now.
First of all, he doesn't say it to himself in the middle of the night. He's on text. It's not unusual at all to get a 12 a.m. or a 1 a.m. text.
That's right.
Hey, I got an idea.
That's right.
And really, that's the beauty of him. I mean, I heard an old guy say one time, there's only 2 things in the middle of the road, and that's yellow lines and dead animals. And so if you just try to maintain, who can do that, right? You're either moving forward or you're moving back. And I think he's done so much in life and has got so much vision. He's obviously incredibly well respected within Ford Motor Company and people around here. I don't think they realize how much he's done on that level with the Ford Motor Corporation. But I mean, his insight has always been great. And it's not only big picture things. It's about people that he brings in. It's about
the team.
And that's from the whole team. That's from the general managers and things to the sales force to the folks that are working back here in parts and actually working on the vehicles. And this is just, I get sentimental about this stuff, but it was about 2 or 3 years ago, somebody called me and said, hey, I want you to see something. And it was a pristine 1965 and a half Mustang convertible, yellow with a black vinyl top that an older lady was trying to sell. And it had the original title from Paul Miller Ford on it.
Wow.
And I mean, that's how far these things go back. And I know his dad's proud, and I know his grandfather would be immensely proud of what he's doing, and he's still a young man. He's got a long way to go. He ain't done yet.
Got a lot of cars to fix, a lot of trucks to fix.
That's right.
A lot of things to sell.
Got a lot of sorority dances.
That's
in
right.
Ole Miss.
JP, bring us home. Tell us a little bit about Dave and how important he is to UK sports.
Well, I tell you, the most unique thing about Dave Baker is that he is a man of the people, right? And you can go anywhere and he's always talking to someone. Someone always comes up and talks to him, and they'll come and talk to him about almost anything, because he's got a political background, he's got a sports background, and he's an authority on absolutely nothing.
That's exactly. We'll see you tomorrow night.
And that's a wrap, folks.
Thanks for joining us. I didn't know these mics dropped, but it just did.
Yeah, but they just did. They just did.
What a great first episode of the Big Blue Oval Studio. How about
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? I think on that note, I think we should end right. I think we should end right there. Yeah, we end right there. Stay tuned. There will be more from the Blue Oval Studio coming up.